Welcome to the module lecture for the first module on identity. Identity, this particular lecture comes in 5 parts. Each part is Identity 1, Identity 2, so on through Identity 5. In order to get to hear the full lecture, you have to listen to all 5 of these lecture pieces, these 5 components, and in the long run, it'll be about an hour 15 minutes. Identity is a very powerful issue in Native American communities, and it's based in the issue of who is or who isn't Indian. But it's also more than that. Identity is a major issue for people throughout the world. All human beings want to be perceived as unique because we are. We all have individual personalities, individual ways of seeing the world. Our individuality and our uniqueness is based on our identity. What do we know about identity? Well, we know, first of all, that it's a basic human right. In the Declaration of Human Rights, the United Nations identified as the very first right, the right of a human being to have a name. And this goes to the essence of how important our uniqueness is as human beings, that this body of nations would come together and say that that's the first and foremost human right, is to have a name. But that also follows the fact that the development of personal identity is probably one of the most powerful psychological drives that occurs in human life. Starting when a child is first born, the world is seen by the baby, the newborn baby, as those things that are me and those things that are not me, kind of creating a differentiation between the baby and the world. And as the baby grows and grows and grows into, toddler and then childhood and on up into their lives, this differentiation of self from the rest of the world becomes stronger and stronger, to the point where by the time a person is of adolescence or puberty age, that drive to be an individual is one of the strongest drives. Many tribes, many societies around the world recognize the importance of that particular time, a period of adolescence, where the individual is beginning to separate themselves from their family and begin to create their own life. And we have ceremonies at this time, rites of passage, often called puberty ceremonies, for both men and women. Sometimes it can be a simple ceremony, a simple naming ceremony. On the other hand, there may be other aspects to the ceremony. Some tribal people around the world circumcise the males and sometimes the females, which is somewhat unfortunate in that sense. And we'll be reading about that. We'll be reading an article about that later on in the course. But we end up recognizing that during this period of puberty, that there are major changes in people's lives, and we recognize that. The other thing is about identity is that we as human beings and as individuals are continually expressing our identities. We do this in a conscious fashion in terms of how we dress, the kinds of clothes we like, the style, the colors, how we wear our hair, the things that we do with our hair are expressions of our identity. Our occupations are expressions of our identity. So much to the point that when some people lose their job, and they've been on that job for a few years, they feel the sense of depression, not simply because their ability to work is limited, because they lost their job, but because so much of themselves is in that job that they become that job, and that job is key to their identity. We also express our identity consciously through our choice of music. The choice of music, there's all kinds of genre of music around the world, and as individuals, with the access that we have through modern technology, we can access all kinds of music, and as a result, we use that to express our individuality. And then we also express our individuality in an unconscious manner in terms of how we talk, the words that we choose to use. Although a lot of